Good Sunday morning again. I've got my little owl mug with me. And it's like 9:35 in the morning, um, November 14th. And me and the hubby, I've literally never called him that, are going to Barnes& and Noble today. Washing machine's going in the background. But I'm just doing some reading about plot structure, specifically the hero's journey plot, because I've kind of hit a wall in my outline. Like, I'm not really sure what to include next in Race's plot. And then I realized, like, you know, in turning to an outline to get some structure on her story, you can do the same with plot structure to get some structure on the outline. What step comes next in the hero's journey? And since my hero is race, and I've looked into different plot types, and I've always kind of thought that races was the hero's journey, and I kind of played around with it a little bit in the past, but never really like adhered to it like to a T. So now I'm thinking that race is definitely the hero's journey plot, but right now the first few steps of hero's journey, it definitely fits. Like, we see Race kind of in her element. She experiences the call to adventure. She refuses the call. A little while later, she meets her mentor, and then she enters the new world. So at least for the first, I think that's the first 5 steps. We're good. Hello, so it is Monday, November 15th, and I've got my scarf here because it's chilly. Um, so I'm working on the climax of the story in terms like brainstorming it for my outline because I moved the book one plot to book two, so I can't use the climax for that anyway. But then so I was like doing some research online. I've been delving more into like the craft of writing, and also just like reading a writing book that I have, the Complete Handbook of Novel Writing, and it's a Writer's Digest book. But just like reading segments from this book, um, reading some books at Barnes and Nobles or some sections of books at Barnes and Nobles, reading articles online, and just dipping my toes in the craft pool again, because it's amazing the things that you forget, especially when you don't use them, or just if enough time has passed since you've thought about that kind of stuff. And it helps to give me some structure for what I'm trying to do. So in the outline process, trying to figure out what the climax of the story is. And so I found an article online, which I can link below, which talks about 6 types of turning points for climaxes, and it just gives you some kind of broad types of climaxes. But so that just got me like thinking about like what climaxes I can do. So I was thinking about the thing that my character Race wants the most and how I can bring that into the plot. And I thought of a great climax, but then I realized it would be better for the second book's plot. So I bumped that to book 2 for now, and now I'm back to square one trying to figure out the climax for book 1. Part of me is like, what if I just I don't know. It's important to know what the story is working toward. Since I'm not discovery writing this story, it's like I know what the themes are. I know what my character wants. I know like what's going on in the world of the story. I feel like I know everything except like I even know how the book will end. I just can't figure out the climax because every time I think of one, I rule it out, or it's not really climaxy enough, like it's not exciting enough, or it's better to be a step along the path, like a scene along the path as opposed to like the end of the path, So this is a struggle. I have faith that I will think of something in the next few days as long as I continue to show up and put my thinking cap on. But it's just going to take some time. It's just going to take some more brainstorming. And also probably just filling the creative well, you know, reading books, watching shows and movies and stuff, seeing what they're doing and seeing if anything inspires an idea for the climax of the story. I worked a little bit on my index cards before, but there was too many questions that I had to be able to really do much with the index cards. But I know a bit more now than I did then. So I'm wondering if I should just work on the index cards. And sorry, I know I'm bouncing up and down. It's just because I have to pee. I'm pretty solid with what I want to happen for the first third of the story, so I could write that now. I could probably even write like half of the story, but at that point you start getting so close to the climax that like you have to plant seeds, you have to kind of know what you're building towards. And of course I can always go back and add things in as I figure them out, but I want to spend a little bit more time on this outline and give myself a chance to figure out the end point before I just dive in blind. There you go, that's all you get. Laying out the index cards, and I'm already starting to see some places where I can make some changes. Like for example, I think I want to introduce this character later. Let me just have a few more scenes with race in this particular location before we introduce the new character. That's a good place for that, I think. That's gonna happen a bit later. Also, I don't think I ever added this scene to my outline that I was working on. Of course, it does come towards the end, but that's definitely a crucial scene I need to add into the outline. All right, so I'm gonna play, what a wonderful angle. I'm gonna play with this a bit more and then hopefully we get somewhere. Wow, it's gotten really dark here. It is 7:30 p.m. almost, and I'm still here in the conference room. I've been here for 4 hours. So this is the great alternative to Barnes & Noble because this is free and I don't have to drive anywhere. I just walk a couple minutes from my apartment. So I've done some excellent like scene planning. Like I figured out some of the next few scenes just by going back and mining through one of my older scene lists. One of my favorite kinds of scenes to write for this story is a scene that's like a feast. So everyone's like eating and there's always different kinds of foods from all over the world. It's just one of my favorite things to write. I figured out one of those scenes to put in here, which is great because it's a chance to meet some of the other important characters in the world. Let's see, I kind of reordered some stuff, figured out a good sort of path to take from between each of these scenes. Not to spoil anything, but this is my setup. Hi, it is Tuesday, November 16th, and it's after 4 p.m. now, and I am feeling really lazy, apparently. I'm lounging on my couch, I've got my laptop here, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of a writing session about the length of this album. It's called Day/Night by Parcels. It's got like, it's really long. It's got 23 songs and it's an hour and a half. While I'm listening to that, I'm going to review my outline, kind of refresh my memory, and then maybe I'll think of what happens next. Alright, so well, it's been an evening. I've been like emotionally kind of very strange. And I think at least part of that is because I'm listening to Beach House. They have a new album coming out, but they're releasing it in 4 chapters. And the first 4 songs came out last week. And those 4 songs, specifically Superstar, I don't know what it is, but it does something to me that it's just like, I don't know, do you ever feel that like when you listen to specific songs, like certain songs that you just like, it's more than just loving the song. It's like the song reaches into your soul and calls you to a higher purpose or something. And I know that sounds crazy, but it really does feel like that's what this song Superstar does to me. It's just like this cosmic, gosh, I don't even know, like dream pop, like euphoric bliss of a song. If you like dream pop at all, then you probably will love Beach House. It just,
I've dubbed this song Superstar like my new favorite song of all time. Like even above like Aurora's All Is Soft Inside and Young the Giant's Paralysis. You know, like those are songs that like at one point or another have made me feel this way as well. And this song is just like the new song to do that. Anyway, I'm listening to Beach House and I'm realizing that their music in general just is making me feel like particularly emotional the last few days. Like it just really speaks to me, you know. They're definitely one of my favorite bands, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm actually, at first I was like, why are they releasing the songs in 4 parts? You know, like I want the whole album at once. But then I realized like if the rest of the songs are gonna sound as amazing as these first 4, like I'm gonna need time to process in between like chunks of these songs. But anyway, working on index cards again. And you see this strange formation, like hold on. As you can see, it kind of has this weird like zigzaggy shape. And my intention with this is that I'm realizing that like as I get closer to the climax of the story, as I get closer to the climax of this story, and I'm 2/3 of the way I think through, I just needed like a visual representation like of how these scenes look on, you know, like kind of that chart, the mountain looking chart that I can't remember what it's called, like a plot diagram or something like that. Just how these scenes relate to each other in terms of like here we have the opening of the story, kind of like my main character in her normal life, and then bam, something happens that kind of calls her to adventure. And then the reason that these 3 scenes are still here, just to save up space. And then each time there's a rise, here, you know, each time there's a rise, that is a particular scene which kind of like either raises the stakes, or my main character has learned something, or she's grown in a measurable way. So those are what that means. And I imagine the climax would be somewhere up in the top corner of this table if I had figured it out by now, but I haven't yet figured it out. I don't know why this is so difficult. I know that the climax of the story is supposed to relate to, like, it's supposed to be set up by your story, right? It echoes earlier elements and earlier scenes that come into your story, and it's also kind of a culmination of all the different plots meeting up at this one point. It's the moment your character, they face the biggest antagonist, and it's a matter of like, have they learned enough, have they grown enough to take that booty down to win, to come out the other side a changed person in whatever way that looks like in your story. So I know the ways I want her to grow. It's just like I can't figure out what the specific scene is that's going to make it happen. Oh, and just one more thing that I want to note is that I am sitting on my floor. I am sitting at the opposite end of my coffee table as I normally do when I write on my couch. I'm moving around and stuff. And it's nice that, like, since writing is such a stationary thing a lot of the time, like you're sitting at a table or you're sitting on your couch and you're just typing away, it's very much like a lot of the same positions you find yourself in. So it's nice every now and then if you can do something like index cards that gets you into a different position, that gets you moving, you know. That's all I gotta say. Back to Beach House. As you can see, I'm in the conference room again. Do I match the painting? I kind of match the painting a little bit. That's fun. Even my blue head. Wow, that wasn't intentional. So, working on outlining again, and I think I might have just figured out a little bit of the climax. I'm a little iffy about it, but I also kind of feel like it could work, so it's weird. I'm confident about it. Oh, my husband's home. That's so funny. I can literally see him walking towards the apartment. It's like I'm somewhat confident about this being the climax, but I'm also a little iffy about it. I think I just need to sleep on it and think about it more and maybe plan around it a little bit more. I thought it would be useful to just write down, in figuring out how I want what I want the climax to be. I thought it would be useful to take notes on what I have not yet resolved, like what plots, what questions have I not yet answered or resolved. Well, in order to answer that question, I have to first figure out what I have resolved. So
So I wrote those down, and then I figured out also what are some things that I haven't quite resolved it, but I've made progress toward resolving it, but it still has a little ways to go. So I wrote that down. I haven't figured out how my character responds in the climax yet. I just kind of figured out like what's the thing that happens that suddenly kicks everything into high gear, but I haven't figured out what happens immediately after that. Like once my character realizes what's happening and then has to like act accordingly, I haven't figured out that part yet. So there are 3 issues that I haven't resolved yet that still have a little ways to go. I think the climax I came up with resolves, or at least allows one of these to resolve. And then depending on how my character responds, like what her role in it is, it should be able to resolve the other 2 as well. Good morning. It is Friday, November 19th. Adele's album came out today. Haven't listened to it yet. But it's like 7 in the morning. And I'm about to turn on my work computer, except then I don't know what it was that got me thinking about my story. I mean, I'm often thinking about my story, but I was like thinking about specifics just now. For some reason, I was thinking about the climax. And I can't even remember what I was thinking about, but I think I sort of just came up with an extension to the climax, or sort of like a reasoning behind it, like a who's at fault kind of thing, or at least who seems at fault. And it works because it ties back into earlier themes, of course. So it makes the climax that much more of a relevant climax to this story. So I've got my notebook here, and I'm taking notes on that. So my plan is that today I finish the outline. It's not going to be finished. I don't expect, and I don't even expect to really devote much time to it because I have to pack today. That's my priority. My outline that I've been working on, it's been my character arc outline and how her arc develops in relation to specific scenes that she's in, but I don't include other scenes from other characters' perspectives in that outline. So I'll need to go through and just add those. So that way when I do start copying and pasting scenes, I know where some of these scenes are going to go. It's particularly the ones that are not involving my main character race. Whoa! I think I figured out the climax. I had just gotten out of the shower, I was listening to Adele's album, and I was thinking about my story, which of course had nothing to do with Adele's album, but just, where my mind tends to go. And I was realizing I was realizing one thing that wanted to happen at the very end of the story, and then thinking that, well, if this is a thing that has to happen, if this is a thing that's going to happen, it has to be set up in a particular way during the climax. So then I was thinking about the climax and how this thing could be set up during that, and I was like, oh, well, then that could probably be the way my character responds to the climax. And I think it works. At this point, my outline is complete in terms of my main character race's story. Now I just have to go back in and add what all the other characters are doing and like what scenes are going to happen from their perspectives. But I feel like in terms of like the overarching flow and the way the story unfolds, I feel like there's just some things I'm not going to be able to tell until I get into the actual story, into the actual manuscript, and I'm writing the scenes from start to finish. And things might change, I don't know, but I feel like at this point I am in a pretty solid place with the climax and with the outline. I think I might almost be ready to start the manuscript, to start writing. Back to Sydney earlier today to wrap up the vlog. So yeah, that's my plan. I don't know if I'm going to check in with you later today or not. So I'm going to end the vlog here, and if there is another scene to go later on in the vlog, then I'll end the vlog there or come back to it here. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching. There will definitely be another vlog wrapping up the end of the month, although keep in mind next week is Thanksgiving. So there will probably be a few days where I don't vlog at all. But I'll come back after and just kind of update you with anything I might have done during that time, which probably won't be much. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you later. Toodaloo.